Hello, my crafty friends. It's Michelle, the Southern Shell. And what do you do when you have some challenge items? Sunglasses, pinwheel, eyeliner? Yes, honey, this is the Just Your Imagination Challenge. Now, this is hosted every month by Brenda with Rustic and Lace DIY. Excuse me, Kathy Joe with Kathy Joe's DIY. And they have a guest host this month, Julie from Small Farm Living. Guys, links to their channels will be in my description box below, along with a playlist as everybody else using their imagination with these items. Let's jump right on into project number 1. Now, I actually did go out and purchase items for this one. This is the first time I've been able to do that for a while. We had some errands to run, so we went to Dollar Tree. Now, I've had these socks in my stash for a long time, and they are Dollar Tree socks, little toddler socks, and I got them at $1 a pair, so that tells you how long I've had them. I have these assorted sizes of 10 cans that I have saved, and I took them outside and I spray painted them in flat black Rust-Oleum. I'm now going to take these socks and I'm just going to cut off a little piece to go around the center of each one of them. I have one that's going to be a little thinner to go around my smallest can. I think that's a tomato paste can there. And then I'm going to do the same with my other 2 cans. The medium-sized can is like a can of vegetables, and the large can is like a large can of diced tomatoes or tomato sauce or something like that. So I went ahead and put these all around my cans, and I put a little hot glue to hold them into place along with some Beacon's 3-in-1. And now I'm taking a mister of alcohol ink and I'm spritzing those to make that now yellow. I am going to go and take this, and I've actually drilled holes in the top and a hole in each side. These are going to be bees. This is going to be a little bee spinner out on my front porch. These weren't hard to take out of the little center there. I could not do it with my hands. I just don't have that strength anymore. But grabbing those little wire cutters, it just pulled right out, not a problem. So now I'm taking that and I'm bending the wires on that, and then I'm looping them together and sticking them right into the hole that I drilled in the side of the can. Now, I drilled those about a third apart. Divide your can into about thirds, and I'm putting the bees about a third apart, the wings, I'm sorry. And then I'm going to take those pliers and I'm opening the inside, and I made these like brads. I made little brad wings. Look at that. So I stuck it in the hole and opened that wire, and I'm going to do the same thing with all of my bee cans. Once I had that done, I'm coming in and I just added a little bit of hot glue right behind inside that can so that they would kind of stay in place, so that when they're out on my porch and the wind blows, it will spin the can. Now I gathered some twine and I tied a knot in the bottom, but I had to double it because I have some beads here, some glass beads, and they have a pretty wide hole. I threaded my twine onto a wide-eyed needle and then threaded that bead. I then came in and threaded it right on up through the center of my can and pulling it out the top of that hole that I had created. Wanted to make sure that I had a knot in there so it wouldn't pull all the way through the can, so that would actually still dangle and make noise. It didn't make a lot of noise because of the wire that are folded in there. That was tough. So it did kind of hinder that a little bit, but it still makes a little noise. It's just not obnoxious. So I went ahead and trimmed that off, tied a knot in the top of the can, and did the same thing with each additional can. And then I linked them together to create a long bee spinner. Now we're going to jump right on in to project number 2. This is where I'm doing the sunglasses now. They're the little kids sunglasses from Dollar Tree. And I tried to pop that lens out. I did okay with the first one, but that second one had a little glue in there. Imagine that. So it was a little more difficult to get out. What I did is I just sprayed some alcohol on there, and that's just rubbing alcohol in that little spritzer, and I just cleaned those lenses real well. I went and got my little pliers. Now, not pliers, this is a screwdriver. This actually goes into the end of a little craft hammer, and those pull out and they have little screwdrivers on each inside. I will leave a link to them in my description box below through Amazon, which I am affiliate for. I went ahead and took off the arms of those glasses, and I painted them with some Waverly chalk paint and ink. And I did that on the arms of the glasses and the frame itself.
I went in and I created some adorable little vintage antique photos. And this one says, I'm not a craft hoarder, I'm a supply collector. This one is on a wedding, and it says, life is really starting to interfere with my crafting time. Nothing can scare me except running out of glue. Yeah, that scares me. My craft supplies bring me joy until my other joys hide them. There you go. A real lady never discusses the size of her crafting stash. I love what I'm seeing, but I didn't have it in that color of that one. I think that one's adorable. And then I just had some to print out to put in my creating and so forth. So if you want this, let me know. I will give you the free digital print.
So I cut out my images and I have my matte Mod Podge here. I'm going to lay a layer of matte Mod Podge over my lenses and over my frame. Now I did the lenses because I'm going to decoupage those images onto the front of those lenses there. And I added a coat over my frames and the arms so that it would seal in that matte chalk paint. This one says, of course, I didn't have it in that color. And the man's like, oh, darling, and my husband thought that was just perfect for me. It's like, but I didn't have the color I needed. Anyway, so I went ahead and laid some Mod Podge on the, excuse me, on the back of my image, and then laid it down on top of that lens, and then very gently pressed it along the curvature of those lenses because they're not flat. I really wanted that other image, but I needed something wider. So I went with there's just a bunch of ladies sitting there staring, and I am making some clusters. Now, it doesn't have to be a cluster for a journal. That's what I would use it for, but you can add a pin backing to it, create a brooch. You can use your big bite and punch a hole in it and create a dangle. You can create a necklace. You can create earrings. That'd be kind of big earrings for me, but you know what I'm saying here. So after they were dry, I came in and just sanded those edges nicely. Now I'm pulling in my blue eyeliner here, and I wanted to add just a pop of color to this. And so I'm taking it around my edges, using my fingers here just to give it a good smear out. So I'm using this eyeliner as color to add to my images. Not only did I do around the whole edge, but I'm adding some into the shadow parts of her dress there. And I'm just taking it and smearing it out just so it has just a tad of color on there. I'm going to do the same thing with the other lens and going into some of the ladies' dresses there on their tops and adding some blue color so that that blue will be a little bit more than that gray. The blues and the grays work great together. Once that was done, and I'm going to come in and seal this all up because, that eyeliner can actually come in and smudge still. So I just wanted to Mod Podge over the top of my paper anyway and seal in that. Now I have some of this card, and I'm using this matte mirrored, and I'm cutting down some strips here to put a base down. And I'm going to use some scraps of fabric. Now I have a shabby flower video out there, and these are just leftovers from that shabby flowers. And I'm just going to cut some thread off and use this in this cluster that I'm building. Now I sewed this one and just did a little running stitch there and pulled it through and then tied it off so that it would gather right in that center. You don't have to do that. That was just a little more effort, and I didn't need it. But what I did is once I got that on there, since this is a mirrored cardstock, I did use my Beacons 3-in-1 there to attach the fabric curtain. This is an old thrifted curtain down onto that card. Now I have some tulle and I stretch that. If you pull the corners of it, it will stretch it and make it irregular, which it already was. And I'm just using hot glue on this because I've already got the fabric of that curtain down on that card. I came in and I used that eyeliner again all over the edges of this card. which was not necessary because I end up trimming it off. So there's that. Come in and use that eyeliner on my lace to pull some more of that blue in, and it just smears out nicely just like it did on that card. And so I just wanted to add a little color to the bottom of that little piece of that's actually a piece of a doily that I had thrifted. And now I'm just going to come in with my hot glue, lay it across that center, gather up that little piece of lace, and attach it into that hot glue. Once that was done, I came in with my Beacons 3-in-1 because these are plastic lenses, loaded it on the back of that little lens there, and attached it down. I forgot I wanted to add some blue threads in there, so I just lifted it back up. You can see it was starting to dry. It doesn't take long, but it was fine, and I pressed it right on down. I came in with a little hot glue just to hold it down in place while that rest of that finished drying. I did come in and trim that card back a little on this one and then came back in and hit it with that blue eyeliner to have a little blue popping out over that top of that cluster. And I'm going to do the same thing with the next one, and I should have trimmed it down to begin with, but I didn't. I went ahead and wanted this one to be a little darker, so I went ahead and took my mister, and this is Mr. Huey, and it is a shimmer, and I just spritzed my stuff with that and wiped it all up. It's like a little alcohol ink, and it gives a little bit of a shimmer to your stuff, and I just went ahead and just rubbed all of that in there to darken up my little pieces of lace and fabric. This one, I did just use my hot glue and I did not sew it. I just squished that up, laid it down on that cardstock with my hot glue, and held it in place while it cooled. I then came in. Now, all of my pieces are dry. I did not do this while they were wet. You have to let them dry. I laid some hot glue on the back and then just kind of ruffled up that one little piece of doily, laid that on there, and then came in with the tool, pulled the edges, pulled it out the center, and laid that on there as well, hot gluing that down. Now I went ahead and used, of course, my 3-in-1 for the lens, but I want to add it. I remembered to add the thread to this one first, though. I almost forgot to tell you about it. Cutting it up, adding that thread across the top of those little pieces there, but I wanted it to be roughed up a little bit. I didn't want it to look like just fresh cut thread, so I just kind of like made a mess out of it in my hand. Laid it in that glue over to the side so that it can pull out and be just a little pop of color on the edges. And here I'm coming in with my 3-in-1 and laying that right across the center of this cluster. Just like the first one, a little hot glue though to lay it down and hold it in place while that 3-in-1 dries. I did come in and trim off those edges after I sanded all of the stuff to make it just a little bit more shabby for me. This little sandpaper trick, I love it because it does not make everything look like it's just been freshly cut. On to project number 3. All right, we are going to do a little sign. We're going to go ahead and use our the frames on this one. Now, this is actually going to be a journal cover for me. You don't have to make it as a journal cover. You can make it as a frame piece. I went ahead and created this digital print. If you want it, just holler. And I will go ahead and get that sent over to you, or I can put it on my page. I'll put it in my shop as a freebie, and you can go there and pick it up. But I went ahead and trimmed it out to 7 by 9, and I'm going to use not my beacons. This is my art glitter glue, and I'm going to lay a nice good coat along this piece of cardboard. This cardboard is off of a calendar where they put them in to hold the calendar straight. It's not a thick piece. It's not a sturdy piece, but it is going to give enough stability to my printable to create a cover out of it or to put it in a frame. Because I'm going to put the glasses on here. When I did the printable, I put that not by in a specific area so that when I put my glasses on the front of this little image here, it will be framing out the not by. Now I have some eyelets. I have my Cricut Big Bite. And first thing I'm going to do is I come around these edges. And guys, Once again, I don't go in far enough. It does give me a little bit of color, but I do the whole image this way with this blue. And then I come in with my little pearl beads and lay it down over the top of it. Now, it would have been fine if the whole backing would have come off of my pearl beads, but it wasn't. They were so old, they kind of hung on to it. But what I did is I just came in now and added a little shadow, and then you see, I'm going in with that eyeliner and I'm using my thumb to go one direction with it. So it looks like a shadow behind my words. So if you see what I'm doing there, and you always go the same direction. So it looks like the light is hitting and then making a shadow behind your letters. There you go. And then I'm going to go ahead and do my big bite, my crocodile. And I have some very large eyelets here that I'm going to put one in each corner of my little sign. Now I have some weathered wood distressed oxide ink, and I'm going to come in and just put some color on these Dollar Tree beads here. Now I have had these for years, guys, at least since 2017. Okay, they are old and they needed a little extra help sticking to my cover here. So I used that Beacons 3-in-1 and laid it down. You will need to seal these. This is ink on plastic. Okay, so come in and use your Mod Podge if you want to and seal that in, because that can rub off. So if you're having it as a journal cover, you're going to want to seal that color in, or it's just going to rub off over time. I went ahead and laid this down, did each side of my little journal cover here and trimmed off the excess. I'm coming in with my Beacons 3-in-1, hitting those frames right where it's going to touch down on my journal cover. And I'm going to lay some hot glue on the little the nose rest, and then center it on my words. So this is great as a journal cover, which is what I'm creating it for, but I also added some jute to it so you can hang it up or you can put it in a frame. It's just beautiful. I love the way this turned out. Now I needed a little bit more bling on here because it's me. My glasses are never plain, okay? So I added these little tiny pink pearls up onto the corners of each on each side of the frame. And then I took one and put them on where the arms would have come out on the frame. That gives me enough bling on this to make it me. And on to project number 4. Guys, this one was a hot mess, okay? I'm going to insert a picture here of what the first attempt looked like. Okay, I laughed hard on this because this was not what I had pictured in my brain. This is not how it was supposed to look. So, guys, I kept plugging away. Okay, so this is a cookbook that was gifted to me, and it is, I don't know, guys, this has got some funky stuff in it. These all-star chefs, I'm sorry, we are not a tofu family here. We do not eat poached chicken. We do not, it's just not going to happen. I created a shape like the letter B, and I came in and I traced all the way around and created each of these pages. I cut the pages out of the book because the first attempt was, oh, honey, this is actually the third attempt, not the second. Okay, this is the third attempt. What I did is I had to cut them all out of the book to do this. I tried it in the book, it did not work. And so here I'm just taking each one of my pages that I cut out and made sure they were all the same and glued them in 3 sections like I showed you right there. Across the top, across the center, and across the bottom. Burnish that down, and I did that with each set of 2 and did that until I had all of those done. Okay, now the art glitter glue on this glossy paper was not the best option. I do end up coming in and using hot glue on this towards with the last part of gluing this together, because this did not like this glossy paper. It's a very strong paper very heavy duty paper. This book I had used in other projects before. I just finished the whole thing up with this one. Uh, and now what I'm doing is I'm going to come in and kind of separate off these pages into thirds so that I can add some color to this like a bumblebee. So I tried. Okay. I went ahead and used a marker here and just drew right there. So I knew kind of where that third mark was going to be on the top and on the bottom. Then I came in with my distressed oxide and black soot. I covered that on the top and on the bottom, just buffing that right on into that paper. Once again, it's a shimmery paper and it was a pain, but I did it. And then I came in with my wild honey on the center parts of those so that hopefully as we looked at it, it would have the black and the gold on there. It, yeah, it didn't, but that's okay. Now I'm coming in with my hot glue and going down from the center of those humps in the bee there and gluing those together. This is where I'm starting to use the hot glue, which worked better as long as you don't let it cool off very much at all. Okay, make sure that when you're doing this, you can get it on there quickly so that it actually bonds those pages together. Then I came in with the book cover that I had painted in some chalk paint, and I divided that into thirds right along the same edges as my bee. Then I came in with my wild honey and did the center all the way around. I used my black soot on the outside, and then I'm coming in with some rusty hinge along those edges to bring in some more dimension. This has got a lot of dimension, guys. Okay, once that was dry, you have to let that dry. So while it was drying, I came in with my Beacons 3-in-1 because I thought this would be the best bond to attach this to the book itself. Loaded that up with a good thin layer and then laid it down in my book. The first one I did, I left the pages in the book and had cut out the pages that I'm using now and tried to do it that way. It did not work because I was gluing them down to both sides and it just made the stuff buckle. I added the Beacons 3-in-1, loaded that on the other page, and then set it down on top. Now, while that was drying, I came in with my clear wax and I went over this whole book, sealing in that ink. Now, remember, this is distressed oxide ink, so it is reactivated when you get moisture in it. So I had to do each section quickly, and you have to let it totally dry before you move on to the next step of buffing this out. This did take a couple hours before I went and came in and buffed it back out. But I think it did turn out okay in the end. It is definitely a very rustic bee, but it did work. It did work. Okay, so here it is. And there's the bee. And you see, I cut off those wings because it just looked so dorky. And I am using the arms now of my glasses to come in and add some antenna into this little bumblebee here. And I'm just going to use some hot glue in there, press it, stick that down in there, making sure that I place my arms going the same direction and the same angle, about the same distance in on my little bee there. And so I'm just using my hot glue to press these two pages together and hold those arms in place to give us a little antenna effect here. It doesn't take long for the hot glue to dry, was just why I used it, and it did work well on this paper, better than that. Now the beacons would have worked fine too, it just has a longer dry time. But there we have it. Now I can just squeeze that down, open it up, and I needed a little bit of something else in there. So I used some of these sunflowers I got these off of Amazon. I will leave a link below. There you have it. I think it turned out adorable. It is not what I had envisioned in my head, but that's okay. And here's my journal cover. You can see where I added on some jute and tied it knots through those eyelets. and my little clusters here. Like I said, you can put an ink, not an ink backing, oh my goodness, a pen backing on that and create a brooch or hang it from a chain. Of course, our little bee spinners, I think they did turn out cute. They're a little funky, but when you're driving by from the street, all you see is little bees spinning on my porch. All right, guys, which was your favorite? Did you like the spinners? Or did you like the clusters, which you could do so many different things with? I think those turned out beautiful. I think that's my favorite. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe the journal cover? I don't know. What's yours? I think they turned out adorable. This could be your journal cover, your hanging art, or your book bee. I think that finally turned out okay. It's not something I would write home about necessarily, but I do like the way it turned out. Guys, if you like this, please do give me a thumbs up. If you've not subscribed, I hope you will consider doing so now by hitting that subscribe button. Hype it if you really liked it. That would really help my channel out a lot. Guys, your time is precious. I know it. I appreciate you spending your day with me. Don't forget to check out my description box below where you can find links to Amazon where I'm an affiliate and get a small commission at no extra cost to you. And if you would like to join my channel and subscribe, that is $1.99 a month, and you will receive some digital kits for free from me by helping me out in that way. As always, stay safe, God bless, and bye for now.